Hey everybody, welcome to Off the Shelf Board Game Reviews. This week we've been looking at Nemo's War. Nemo's War is a solo or a cooperative game for up to 4 players. Now in this video itself, I'm going to show you some sample gameplay for Nemo's War itself. If you want to see a quick overview, learn how to play the game, or check out my full review of the game, look at those other videos in the series. In this one, I'm going to do some sample gameplay itself. Now the sample gameplay video is actually going to be broken down into 2 videos just because Nemo's War is a pretty in-depth game, and if I wanted to, I could pretty much probably go for about 2.5 or 3 hours doing the wah stuff and just talking while I'm playing the game. So the game itself doesn't really take as long, but I imagine with myself interacting with the camera, talking back and forth with you, and explaining what I'm doing is going to slow down the process. The game itself is about 90 minutes, maybe about 2 hours, depending how prone to analysis paralysis you are. But I don't know if anybody wants to sit through a full 2+ maybe 3 hour video. So the first video right now that you're seeing right here is going to be just about 30 to 45 minutes of gameplay. And then I'm going to have an extended video where I'm going to continue on the game. And if enough people are interested in that kind of content, I'll keep doing that. So just let me know what you think in the comments down below. So what we have here is we have the board already ready to be set up. I'm going to set up the board for you guys because you can learn how setting up the board is actually part of the game and adds to the replay and the variety of the game itself. So the very first thing we need to do is we need to pick our motive that we want to pick. We can go for an explorer motive, we can go for an anti-imperialism, we can go for a science, or we can go for a war motive. Now they suggest that you use the explorer motive as your very first motive when you're learning how to play the game. So we're actually going to pick the explorer motive. So once you pick your motive, the other motive chip is going to be discarded and you're going to place your motive right over here. Now what the motive does is it tells you how you're going to gain victory points as you're playing the game. So we see here that sinking ships is going to give us a penalty on our victory points, while doing things such as seeking wonders and going out there getting scientific exploration and also working on other different things are going to give us various amounts of victory points based on these tracks. So we know as explorers we want to do lots of exploring the world. Not as much sinking of ships, because while we do need to do it as things happen, because that is a loss condition, the map overflows, we do lose, just understand it's not going to give us as many victory points as we get, as such as going after a war ending where we get lots of victory points for sinking those ships. That's one goal we can work on. So now that we've picked our motive, the next thing we need to do is we need to put our little tokens here. Now the rules tell you to do this at a little bit later stage. I'd like to do it now, and you understand in just a moment when we pick our crew or our whole upgrade why I like to do it that way. But now that we have our crew tokens, the next thing we need to do is we need to organize the exploration deck. Now every time you're going to play the game, you're going to take this large deck of adventure cards and you're going to shuffle it, and you're going to deal out a certain amount of cards based on whatever motive you picked. Some motives have a different way these cards are going to come into play, and it's going to have a different pace to the game. Now the explorer motive is a very nice, even balance. You're going to have 8 exploration cards and an act 8 exploration cards, and then it's going to mix up like that, whereas other motives are going to cause a different balance in how that's going to go. So the first thing we need to do is we need to figure out which one of the 7 finales we are going to be working towards. Now we never know which one of these finales we're working towards. It's going to be a random draw, and we're not going to know which one it is. So we just simply need to shuffle these up, and we are not allowed to look at the one we're picking, and we're not allowed to look at the ones left on the deck, because obviously once you learn the game enough, if you know which ones are not on the deck, you know which ones you pretty much picked. So now we picked our motive. We're going to take the motive and we're going to shuffle that up with 4 different cards. Now these cards, I laid them out just for a little bit of efficiency and a little bit of speed, but we're simply going to shuffle these cards up, and now our finale is mixed in with these 4 cards, and this can be the start of our draw pile. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the travesty, or the big major challenge that we're going to have to go through, and this is going to be shuffled up with the next set of 8 cards. Now these 8 cards, again, is judged by the motive we picked, and since we picked the explorer motive, we know that's how many cards we're going to get. We're going to take these 8 cards and we're going to place on top of the 5 cards we already have on stack, so now we have a total of 13 cards. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to place the Act 3 card on top of that. Begins a second intermission. We're simply going to place this on top of the card deck right here. Now we're up to 14 cards. After that, the next thing we are going to have is we're going to have our next 8 cards, again based on the motive, which is the explorer motive, but we have these 8 cards, we've already shuffled them, dealt off to the side, and we're going to place that on top, and then the Act 2 first intermission card is going to go on top of that. And then finally we're going to place 6 more cards. It's 6 cards. We're going to place these 6 cards all the way on top, and then we're going to put the prologue card on top of that. Now we're not going to shuffle this deck anymore. Once this deck has been completely built, it has 31 cards. We're not going to shuffle it anymore. We're simply going to place it off to the side, and our goal is to get through all 31 of these cards. Now most likely we're not going to have to go through all 31 of those cards unless we did a really bad job, and the finale is the bottom card, and I'm not peeking. Oh, actually I could peek because I see my camera, so You don't know what's on the bottom card, and I don't know what's on the bottom card, but whatever is last on that deck, or whatever the finale card is, we'll find out as we play through this game. The remaining adventure cards, we, again, have already shuffled these up. They're going to place over here on the adventure stack right here, and then we're going to place one treasure gem on top of it. Now, this is where we get our very first decision of the game. Because as you play this game, you can start influencing the difficulty levels of the game. In multiple stages, you can pick the easy, the medium, or the hard difficulty based on what parts of the game you will make more challenging, make more easy, or just stick on the normal captain level. So on the captain level, you're going to have one treasure gem. If you want to go on the very hard level, there's 0 gems. And if you want to go on the super easy level, you're going to pick 2 gems. We're going to stick pretty much mostly on the captain level for all of our decisions here. Just want to let you know how this is going to go. Once we have our treasure on top of that, the next thing we need to do is we need to go through all the whole upgrades for the Nautilus. And we need to find the Nautilus upgrade that matches the motive we picked. Now there's 4 of them that match the 4 motives in the game. We picked the Explorer motive, so we know that we get the Explorer motive. And we're going to set these cards off to the side just for one moment here. And now we need to make a decision if we want to purchase this. Now, if we purchase this right now, we're going to start taking damage to all of our resources. We have 3 main resources in the game. We have Nemo, we have our crew, and then we have our hull. So right at the start of the game, we need to start making decisions. Remember, if any of these resources reach the bottom of any of these tracks, only has to be one of those resources that makes it the bottom. But if any one of them does, we have lost, we failed, and we don't get to score any victory points. We suffer a true and utter defeat. So, a little bit of a pro tip. As somebody's played this game quite a few times, I can tell you that raising up Nemo's track is a little bit more challenging. The crew and the hulls are a little bit easier to raise up. But the opposite side of that is, as Nemo starts taking more damage, he starts helping you roll better dice. So that's something you want to think about, but remember that his track is also a lot shorter. But I'm getting ahead of myself. What we need to do is we need to decide if we want to purchase this upgrade. Now we're going to go ahead and do that just so you can see how the game plays. Sometimes there are choices where you may not actually want to purchase this upgrade. Now if you want to play on easy mode, the upgrade is free. If you want to play on standard mode, you need to sacrifice any combination of 3 resources. And if you want to play on hard mode, guess what? You don't get this card. We're playing on normal mode, so we're going to get this card, and we need to discard 3 resources. Now I'm going to put my cards up here, and you should be able to see them on a camera. Hopefully, if not, I may adjust things as we go, depending on watching my overhead camera here. I'll try to keep an eye on it and make sure everybody can see it pretty darn easily. But let's go for the thematic effect right here. Okay, tell you what the card does. It's the Hydro Drive, and what it does is each time you perform a move action, you can move the Nautilus up to 2 consecutive ocean spaces. Now for the thematic text. By compressing water, taking it at the ship's bow and shooting it back into the ocean at an increased velocity from the ship's stern, like a jet, the Nautilus could make an amazing 20 knots on the surface for an extended time. Now the nice thing about this card is we see that it has this lightning bolt on the upper left-hand corner. Looking at our motive, we see that any card that we get that has the lightning bolt, we're going to get 4 times that amount of victory points. So hey, we already got 4 victory points at the start of the game. Too bad we need like 270 victory points to get the best ending, but not going to ruin the spoilers for you there. So we picked that, so now we got to pick 3 resources that we are going to reduce. I'm going to take 2 points on the hull, and actually now I'm going to take 1 point on the hull, and I'm going to take 2 points on the crew. Now the reason why I've done that is you'll see that these tracks each have a decreasing number on each one of these levels. That's the bonus we can potentially get to every one of our dice rolls. So as this gets lower, we're going to see that our bonus to our dice rolls is going down. Now we're risking these resources, so it's not exactly a freebie, but just understand, you see how these tracks go down. If I would have went down there, we'd see that we only get a +1 there. If I would have took this one all the way down there, we see that we only get a +2. And remember what I said earlier, your crew and your hull are a heck of a lot easier to fix than Nemo. But on the other end of the spectrum, the chances that you get to fix Nemo are completely random when they come up a lot of the times. So if Nemo is fully fixed and you get one of those cards that come up and give you that benefit, guess what? It's a wasted card. You don't get that benefit. So having said that, we're going to take 1 point of damage to every single one of our tracks. We took a Nemo damage, we took a crew damage, and we took a point of damage to our hull. Now that that is done, the next thing we need to do is we need to shuffle up all these upgrade cards. And we are going to get 4 upgrade cards that we can potentially purchase throughout the game. Now understand that these upgrade cards, when you buy them, you're not going to automatically draw another upgrade card. You are basically stuck with the amount of upgrades that you get in the beginning. Now there's some adventure cards that are going to come up that are going to allow you to get extra resources and extra upgrades. But just understand, as we go through the game, generally speaking, the 4 upgrades that we see at the beginning, most likely, barring adventure cards, and yes, there is going to be at least 1 adventure card that will come up, it's a guarantee. But barring adventure cards, those are the 4 upgrades that we're going to be stuck with for the most of the game. So our first one is going to be the periscope device. Now the periscope device is that allows us to start attacking without getting as much notoriety damage, which could be a bonus. Be really great for playing the war. Next thing we are going to get is we're going to get the monstrous design. That's going to also mean that we get less notoriety when we do stalking attacks. So it looks like we're going to be able to control our notoriety very, very well in this game. Our next one we're going to get is the Arcane Library, which is an amazing card, especially if we're playing Explore. This one is going to give us a +1 to all our rolls anytime we do a search or an incite action. Searching allows us to get treasures, and inciting allows us to create rebellions across the grand world. Our final card is going to be the Reinforced Armor, which is beyond awesome because it means whenever we run into warships, they're going to have one less, I'm sorry, I should say it the other way around. We're going to have +1 to the roll, which means it's less likely that they're going to damage our ship. Remember, damage to our ship is bad. It means we're going to be closer and closer to losing the game. So now these cards right here, we're not going to remove them from the game. We're just going to know that there's a good chance that we may not be able to see them anytime soon. I'm going to shuffle them up because I just accidentally looked at the bottom card and I'm not a cheater. So we'll place those over there, and now that's done, the next thing we need to do is we need to start adding all the different tokens to the board to get our starting thing. We get our 3 starting crew members who are willing crew members, and our 3 not so willing crew members. Now remember, all these crew members are a one-time use. Yes, it is possible to occasionally, thanks to adventure cards, have the chance to get any of them back. But just understand that when you spend them and they have a negative resource, when you bring them back, you don't get that lost resource back, so you can get a double hit. But every one of these crew members is a one-time use, and they're going to give you various different things, such as extra actions, extra rerolls, and stuff along those lines. So they are a nice bonus, but remember, one time only, barring that nice adventure card coming out of the deck. Next thing we're going to do is we are again going to have a decision we want to make based on how difficult we want to make the game. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add the 4 blue ships to the notoriety check at number 14. Now if we want to make it very hard, we can put them at 11, which is the captain level. We can leave them at 14, which is the officer, which is the average level. Or we move them over to 17, which is a sailor, which is the easy level. We're going to keep things nice and average. We're going to go to level 14. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing with the 4 green ships. And again, we have a choice. We can make it hard, standard, or easy. We are going to go to the officer level, which is nice and standard. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the 2 black ships onto the board right here in the respective spaces. The frigate goes there, and the capital ship goes there. Next thing we're going to add is we're going to add the 4 darky yellow ships here. They don't need to be shuffled. It does not matter. We're going to add the 4 orange ships right here, which are going to come out during Act 3. And then finally, we're going to get the red ships, which are going to come out when we have that grand disaster, which is going to come out. Those 7 ships are going to go there. But we're not going to get all of them. You'll see how that works when that happens, when that final card does come out. Now that we have those things set up, the only thing left to do is add all the white ships and the lighter yellow ships into one bag that we're going to use for a draw bag. We're going to add all the treasures into a treasure draw bag. Do understand that you can look through these bags at times, so we do want to make sure that we're not peeking when we're drawing though, and there are various different stacks we look at. The rules do say though that we can never look at this stack, we can never look at this stack, and we can never look at the finale cards that are removed from the game, but everything else is pretty much open information once it's been revealed, but you'll see how that plays out as we play through the game. So next thing we're at another decision about the difficulty level. If we want to play on easy mode, we'll start with 2 actions. If we want to play on normal mode, we'll start with 1 action. If we want to play on very hard mode, we'll start with 0 actions. We're going to go on standard mode. Next thing we'll do is we'll start with a notoriety of exactly 0. We'll need to add some treasures onto the board, and I'm picking the nice Christmas colors because, hey, it's Christmas time every time I get to play this game. And also because red and green is easier to see on the camera for all of you. So we're going to put one of these tokens, these treasure tokens, in every single one of the major oceans. There's 3 major oceans on top, and then there will be 3 major oceans down on the bottom. So once we put treasures in every one of those oceans, we are now ready to add the rebellion cubes over here. And remember, this is a finite supply. Once you've used up all the rebellion cubes, there are no more. You can put 1d6 over here on space number 44. We're never going to have to worry about this because, unfortunately, since we're playing the Explorer Challenger motive, that means we can never go past a notoriety of 36. Once we hit exactly 36 notoriety or beyond, we instantly lose the game. So we never have to worry about this die coming in, but just understand it is there, and it is for one of the motives. It can possibly happen. Basically speaking, you're only going to use this one when you're doing the war motive, but otherwise put it out on the board. And then you do have an option. You can play with the Deadly Seas if you want. We're not going to play with them. They are an extra option. We just need to put out the rest of our tokens, and the rest we need to do is just to fill out all the oceans. Now notice that every one of these oceans have some darker borderlines. We're just going to put a hidden ship token in every one of these borders. And after we've done that, we are again going to get another chance to make another decision to see if we want to make the game easier or if we want to make the game just a little bit harder. I'll explain how that goes in just a moment, depending on just how fast I can put all these tokens out. But we just need to simply put these tokens in every one of the darker bordered oceans. So that doesn't mean that not all oceans will get any of these tokens. But once we have done that, the next thing we need to do is, again, we need to make another difficulty decision. If we want to make the game easier, we can remove one token from each one of these northern oceans, or the major oceans themselves. And if we want to make the game harder, we're going to add one of these tokens to every one of the major oceans on the harder or on the southern part of the map. So again, easier, remove from the major oceans on the north, harder, add one to the major oceans on the south. Once that's all done, we have completely set up the game. We are actually ready to start playing the full game of Nemo's War. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to flip over the very first card, which is going to be the prelude card. And with the most dramatic reading I can muster. Okay, I'm not going to do too many dramatic readings because that's just not my thing. But I will read the cards because the text is a lot of fun and does add a heck of a lot to the theme of the game. Act 1. The facts relating to this apparition, entered in various logbooks, agreed in most respects as to the shape of the object or creature in question. The untiring rapidity of its movements, its surprising power of locomotion, and the peculiar life with which it seemed endowed. If it was a whale, it surpassed in size all those hitherto classified in science. Prologue. So the prologue is going to tell us that for most of the time until we get to Act 2 and Act 3 that we are going to be rolling 2 dice to decide our actions, and where extra hidden ships and eventually actual ship tokens will be coming onto the board. So for whenever you reveal the act cards, we're going to place them off to the side, and we're not going to put them in the pass or the fail because we want to have that nice reminder of how many dice we need to be rolling. But to continue on with the prologue, it's going to say, roll a die and place the Nautilus in the corresponding major ocean. I was hoping that this would show up, and it's not showing up that well, so it's just going to have to work with it. So we'll roll 1 die, and we will get a 4. So that means the Nautilus will start in ocean number 4, which is down right here, which is a pretty darn decent start. Now remember, we can always travel by any of the oceans by the solid lines. We cannot cross by the dotted lines. The dotted lines are just shown for connections between spawning ships and for other cards and various effects. But don't worry, this may eventually open up if a certain card does come up. Once we place our ship on the ocean, it says commence play with the next card. Roll only 2 dice to begin each placement phase. So we're now officially playing the game. So we'll put this card right here just so we remember what prologue we're doing. And we are now going to start the very first round with the very first adventure and the first keep card that we are going to get. It says, oh, that's like I'm prophetic. And no, I did not cheat. I put these cards completely out and completely randomized them. So the Arabian Tunnel, it's a keep. There's a passageway. Yes, an underground passageway that I've named the Arabian Tunnel. It starts below Suez. Oh my gosh, I can't pronounce English today. And leads to the Bay of Pelusium. Keep. Move the Nautilus directly between the Indian Ocean and the European seas to make this card a pass. If it's a pass, we see that's worth 1 adventure, and we see that adventure cards are worth just their basic value to us, but we see that it's actually a scientific discovery, which means that it's worth 4 times that to us. So if we manage to do this, this card is actually worth 5 points to us at the end of the game. 5 of the 270-ish points that we need to actually have a very good winning or a good victory. So if at the game's end, if we have not managed to use this card, it will go in the fail pile. So now that we've done that, we will put this card, I'm going to put these cards right up here, and hopefully I'll be able to keep them under the camera for everybody to see perfectly. At least that way I can see them and use them. Hopefully that works for everybody. If not, well, I'll just do some fancy editing all the way out the end. Once we've done our action, next thing we need to do is we can just simply look at the nice turn sequence over here on the board. It says the very first thing is we have the event phase. Now we're going to do part 2 of the round, which is going to be the placement phase. For the placement phase, we are simply going to roll 2 dice. This is going to judge where ships are going to go, and it's also going to judge how many additional actions we're going to gain. And the difference is the difference between the roll of the 2 dice. And if I roll doubles, we're going to get a low tone, and I'll explain how that all works. So I rolled a 4 and a 6. The difference is 2. I'm going to add 2 to the 1 I already have, and we're going to see that we have 3 actions. So we're now going to add ships on the 4. I should have did it just like that, and then we will get ships on the 6. So starting with the number 4, the very first thing we're going to do, if we look at the nice sequence of turns, and it tells you exactly what we're going to do, how we're going to place ships every single round. It says number 1, we're going to do these in order, and we're going to find the first action in order that we can succeed at. So the first one is place a hidden ship in the ocean we're currently at. Well, we can easily do that because all the spaces are not filled up. That's very simple. That die is handled. Now we're going to go this one. Again, we have a space open, so we will simply place a ship in that space. That's it for the placement phase. Now we get to go to our actual standard turn where we get to start taking actions. Now the actions we can do is we can do movement, we can adventure, we can do any of these actions over here, and there's a lot of things we can do, but we only have 3 actions on this turn, and we need to start thinking about what we want to do and start planning our actions and start figuring out ways that we start gaining victory points. And remember, our main victory points will come from scientific discoveries, from wonders that we happen to see, and we're also going to get other things from liberation, which is going to be a lot of victory points for us, and also treasures are going to give us a nice bonus if we happen to get treasures. Sinking ships is not going to be too lucrative to us, so let's start thinking about all our actions. So, adventuring costs 2 of our 3 available actions. Attacking costs 1 action, inciting costs 1 action, movement costs 1 action, but remember, thanks to the hydro drive, we can move 2 spaces instead of 1. Next thing we can do is we can rest, which is going to allow us to repair our crew, not worried about that in a moment. Next thing we do is repair, which allows us to repair our hull, not worried about that at this moment. Next thing we can do is refit. We can't do that because we don't have any salvage available to us. And the final thing is we can search for treasure if we want to, and I think that is exactly what we're going to do. We're in a nice space with a treasure. We don't have any penalties for searching because there's no ships that are available. And if you want to learn how we do that, we simply look at this table right here, and it's going to see that if we get any result in the red, we're going to have a negative result. If we get a result in the green, we're going to have a positive result. The penalties and adjustments to the rule, though, is that we're going to get a plus bonus depending on what resource we're going to press. We're also going to get +1 if we manage to get the arcane library, which we don't have yet. And we're going to have -1 to our roll for every revealed ship token in our current area. Now, these are hidden ships, not revealed ships. That's why it's a good time for us to start searching for treasure. So we are going to search for treasure. That is going to take 1 action, and we're going to press our crew into service to help us do this. That's going to give us a +3 to the roll. So it basically means as long as I get a 6 or higher, we should be doing pretty darn good here. So let's go ahead and roll the dice and see what result we get. And our very first roll is absolutely fantastic. So I rolled 12. +3 is a total of 15. So if we go ahead and look over our search results chart, we're going to see that we get a really fantastic result. Since it's a green result, the resource that we pressed to help us succeed in this roll is not going to be damaged. So we're going to refresh it back to the fresh level, which is good. And then we're going to look and see exactly what we get for getting a 12 or higher roll. Since we got a 15, we're going to see Eureka! We are going to get to gain 2 treasures. So first thing we're going to do is remove this from the board so we don't forget that we took care of it. And then we're simply going to reach inside the treasure bag and we're going to grab 2 treasures. I like to grab them one at a time just in case we get one that creates an event. But the first thing we are going to get is a 0 value treasure, which is actually worth 1 for us because our motive gives +1 to any treasures we happen to find. Our next treasure is going to be, one of the instant ones. This one says, discard immediately and lose 1 resource or 1 character. Well, it's a good thing we got this one out of the way right now. So we have to lose 1 resource or 1 character. I will put this right down here so we remember that it is used up. And with our wonderful, wonderful start, we are going to lose a resource. Well, I'm going to go ahead and lose the crew. Probably not the best decision, but it's what we're going to do. Let's hope this works out in our benefit and not works against us. So now we've taken our 2 treasures, technically only 1, and it's only worth 1 victory point at the end of the game. We're really working towards that 270 victory points with less than 10 so far, but hey, that's okay. So the next thing we are going to do is we have a couple different decisions. We do have this nice card that we definitely know that we want to take care of, and we can do that with move action just by simply moving from here to here to here and then doing a move action right there, or even just come around this long way if we want to. But we only have 2 actions left this turn and we're actually in a pretty good spot. And it's actually a good time to start showing you some attacking and show you exactly how attacking works. So the first thing we need to do when we attack is we need to decide if we're going to do a bold attack or if we're going to go ahead and do a stalking attack. Now, what's the difference between a bold attack and a stalking attack? Well, firstly, if we do a bold attack, we can keep attacking until we decide that, hey, we're done. But the more we attack, the more our notoriety goes up. The other thing we can do is we can do a stalking attack. Now the nice thing about stalking attack is we get +1 to a roll to attack, but when the ship appears, we can decide that, I don't think that's actually a ship we want to attack, and instead of doing the attack, we just kind of sail off and not have the attack go off. Now why would you want to do that? Well, because there's warships, and the warships can start shooting us, and as our ship starts taking damage, our tracks are going to continue to decrease, and again, we're going to come closer to those lost victory points. So let's go ahead and be brave, and we are going to do a bold attack just because, hey, it's fun, and let's go ahead and do this and see what kind of dangers and travesties we can run into by doing a bold attack. So the first thing we're going to do is we will draw out a ship. Now every time you draw out a ship, you're going to have the non-purple side, or in the case of a white ships, you're going to use the non-gray side. The only time you're going to use this higher side is if your notoriety manages to get high enough, which is at this point right here, and it says flip warships to their upgraded side whenever they're drawn. We don't have to worry about that as explorers, because if our notoriety gets to that point anyways, we already lose the game. So it's not something we're going to have to factor into this game. So it's kind of nice for a nice easy tutorial. But the ship we are going to get is we are going to get a slaver ship. I'm going to take this one out because it's a slaver and they just need to sink to the bottom of the ocean. So we're going to get the Jumna slaver. It is a nice bonus is that when we sink the ship, we're actually going to get +1 crew. So we will replace this with this part right here, and the even better thing about taking out a slaver ship is our notoriety is not going to go up for taking it out. So the ship cannot attack us. All we need to do is get a 7 or higher. Well, let's increase our odds by pushing the crew into service here, and that's going to give us +3 to our roll. Now all we need is a 4 or higher, and if we do, we're going to sink the ship. We rolled a 6, kind of pushing our odds, but hey, it is going to 3 + 3 is 6, +3 more is 9. That equals or beats this, so this ship is going to be sunk. Now at this point, we have 2 options. One, we can turn the ship into salvage, which means we can't do any more bold attacks at all, and that means our attacking turn is done. Or we can put the ship towards tonnage. Now this tonnage track here is the minimum level that we fill up with every one of these oceans is worth a certain amount of victory points. So that does mean if we get 6 ships sunk in every one of the great oceans, that's going to be an extra 40 victory points. But if we do 3 oceans that we get all the way to 6, and the rest of the 3 oceans we do 0, we're going to get 0 victory points. So we do need to spread the damage across all the oceans. So we managed to sink this one in the South Atlantic. So we'll look at the South Atlantic, which is right here, and we will put the ship right down there as tonnage because I think that's a better decision. So since we did a bold attack, we have the option now. Well, first let's get our crew before I forget. So our crew will heal up from sinking the slaver ship, which is good. Now since we did a bold attack, we do have the option that if we want to, we can take 1 point of notoriety and we can get the chance to go ahead and investigate what that next hidden ship is. Let's go ahead and do it. Maybe not the best decision, but hey, I'm trying to show you as much gameplay as possible. So we'll remove this and let's see what more funds we can find in the magical bag of ships of doom. And we will get our first warship. And guess what? We can't fight, or we can't avoid this one. That means we can possibly start taking some damage here. So it's the Fujiyama. It is going to attack us. The very first thing it's going to do is attack us. So the first thing we need to do is we need to roll the dice and see if we're going to take any damage at all. We're going to roll a 6 and a 4. That's 10. That's equal to or greater than, so the ship does not hit us. Now we get the chance to sink the ship. Now if we sink it, we're not going to take any damage on our notoriety, so that's actually good. Unfortunately, it's not worth a lot of victory points, but hey, we can possibly salvage this ship, which could be good because we want to start getting some of those upgrades. And we will roll a 12, which means this ship is definitely sunk, and we are going to put this ship over here. It's going to be our first salvage towards any one of these upgrades, and these upgrades have a cost of 2, 3, 3, and a cost of 4. I'm thinking the one I want first is the Arcane Library, which is going to make all of our search and insights much, much easier, and you'll see how important those can be, especially as our notoriety happens to be going up. So this token does not have any notoriety in it, so the only thing we gained this turn was 1 notoriety for that 1 action that we spent, and we're actually looking pretty darn good right now. Now we have a couple options. You are allowed to carry 1 action over to the next round, so we could do that, or we can move and position ourselves in a better spot for the next turn. I think what we are going to do is we're going to watch what the board is going to present to us, and we are going to wait. Or what we could do is we can do some inciting and start adding some rebels here and start creating some chance for us to bring our notoriety down. Notoriety is only at 1. I'm not going to sweat it. Our ship is actually looking pretty good. Our resources are looking pretty good. I think we're just going to end the turn, and we're just going to start turn number 2. right now. So for round 2, we are going to draw our second adventure card of potentially 31 adventures that we need to go through to win this game. And we're going to get another keep card. This is actually a pretty darn good start for us. I hope it's not going to be a sign of things going to be very nasty deeper down in the deck. So, an underwater coal field. Now then, right at the spot, the sea covers entire forests that sank underwater in prehistoric times. Today, turned to stone, transformed into carbon fuel, they offer me an inexhaustible coal mine. This one is a keep card. It says, when the Nautilus is in the North or the South Atlantic, you may fail, which means this card is going to be discarded, which means it's worth 0 victory points. But as soon as we do that, we can gain 2 points on our hull. But if we can avoid that temptation through the entire game, if we manage to keep this card all the way through the end of the game, it's going to be worth 2 adventure and 1 science. Remember, science is worth 4 times that value, which would be 4 victory points. Adventure is worth the exact value it is itself. So this card, at the end of the game, if I don't succumb to the temptation of burning this card for the hull, it's going to be worth 6 victory points for me. So that's something I need to decide. So that is our adventure card. Now we move on to part 2, and we see for our standard turn, the next thing we need to do is roll for our placement phase to see how many actions and where the ship's going to go this turn. And we will roll a 2 and a very sloppy 4 that fell out of the box there. So we have 2 and 4. Difference for that is going to be 2 plus our 1 action is going to bring us up to a total of 3 actions. And then we notice that we're going to get ships coming into spot 2 and number 4. Hey, that's where we're at. They may be a good thing for us. So the first thing we will do is we'll add a hidden ship token right here. And then we will add a hidden ship token right here, number 4. The first couple the first 6 rounds of the game are a nice, slow, easy build-up. Once we get to the first act, it's going to start building up. The second act, the first intermission, it's going to start building up a lot quicker as we start rolling a lot more dice. So that's it for the placement. That is it for actions. Now we get to actually start the turn, decide what we want to do on our turn. So I am thinking that I want to start doing as much adventuring as I can while these gems are available without ships out there creating extra challenges for me. So these treasures can be worth things, and remember, these treasures can actually be discarded to give us extra bonuses on building up our ships, on working on refitting our ship. So these treasures can be really great things to discard, so they are very, very nice to have. So we are going to spend 1 action, and we are going to simply do a movement action. I am thinking what we're going to do is we're going to work on killing 2 birds with 1 stone, and we're going to move 1, 2 spaces over here, and we're going to put ourselves over here in the European seas. And that's our first action. The second action we're going to do is we are going to go searching for treasure. Now remember, the cost of our actions are listed right here. We see that movement costs 1 and also searching costs 1. So we're simply going to roll 2 dice, and what we're going to do before that, we are going to exert our crew. It's going to give us a +3 to our roll, and remember, if we get a 9 or higher, we're going to be looking really darn good right here. So I rolled a 7. Not the best thing to roll at all, but a 7 plus a 3 is a 10. We look under here, it says it's going to be a success. That means we have managed to collect 1 treasure. So we're simply going to look in the treasure bag, and we will pull out and see what magical treasures we will get. Hopefully it's going to be better than the last round of treasures. And we have, we managed to find a discovery. We managed to find a nice discovery. Now discoveries for us are worth 7 times the value on this token, as long as I have this token at the end of the game. So as a 1 on it, we see as explorers we get 7 times that. So that is 7 victory points for us at the end of the game. That was actually quite phenomenal, and that worked out very, very well for us. So that is our second action. Now our third action we are going to do is we're going to be a little bit bold again, and we're going to start clearing out the ocean with some bold attacks. Yes, I'm being a little bit aggressive early in the game. No, it may not be the best decision, but it does show you exactly how your decisions can influence you as you start playing the game. So since we're making a bold attack, that means we have to attack whatever comes out of the bag here, and we got a little bit lucky, and we're going to get a passenger ship, the Hannah More. Now the nice thing about this ship is sinking the ship is not going to create any notoriety for us. So we'll place the Hannah More out right there, and we'll remove that token. Now since the Hannah More is not a warship, it doesn't get to attack us, so the only thing we get to do is we get to attack it. We need an 8 or higher, and I should have reset that after our exploration or our search action. Now I'm going to go ahead and push the crew again, which means I just need a 5 or higher on my roll. And we have a 9 plus 3 is a 12. That easily sinks the ship. And since we right now are in the European seas, we'll add this ship over here to the tonnage for the European seas. Again, I'm working towards filling up all 6 of those tonnage tracks so I get the extra victory points in the game. I am going to take 1 more point of notoriety, and I am going to go ahead and go after another ship. Again, I'm being a little bit aggressive, but again, I do want to show you the gameplay. Let's see what we are going to get here. We are going to get another slaver, the Syria. This is actually really nice. I'm actually very, very happy with these results. This has actually turned out really, really phenomenal here. I am thinking that I already forgot something. Did I take my crew for the slaver? I spent 1, 2, 3. I think I forgot to take my crew for the slaver. Wow, that's pretty bad of me. Already make mistakes this early in the game. So I will take that. Or did I take damage? Am I forgetting something? Oh, that's right. I forgot about the resource. That's right. I had to lose the resource earlier. That makes sense. That's why I'm there. See, I'm second guessing myself already here. So anyways, we are going to be against the slaver, which is the Syria. So we will place it down right here. And since we are doing a bold attack, we are going to get 1 point of notoriety because we are continuing our bold attacks. And then we know that this ship is not going to attack us, but we are very happily going to press our crew and we're going to attack it. All we need is a 4 better to take it out. We will get a 5. We're just barely pushing it. So that's a 5 plus a 3 is going to be an 8. 8 is definitely 7 or higher, and we will go ahead and sink the ship in the eastern seas. And that will give us 1 point on our crew, which is going to max out our crew track. Now, I think we're going to push a notoriety 1 more time, and we're going to go ahead and go after 1 more ship. Because I really, really want the salvage. That's really what I'm going after here. So we will get another ship, and we will get a freighter. This is the Fulmar. And now this is a freighter that when we sink it, we're going to take notoriety damage on it. So it doesn't matter what our results are, we're still going to take notoriety damage. So we just need to press our crew again. It is a 9, so that means we need to get a 6 or higher. Shouldn't be too hard for at least where our luck's going so far. And we'll get a 4 and a 5. That's a 9 plus 3 is 12. This ship is sunk, and we will take 1 point of notoriety damage, or we'll take 1 point on the notoriety track because of what this freighter says right here. It is worth 2 victory points. If we put it on the tonnage track, we're not going to do this. We're going to actually go towards getting salvage. So we are now at that level of salvage, which means we can actually go for the arcane library our next turn. Not on this turn because we are out of actions, and that's actually the end of the second round. Round 3 and our third adventure card. So our third adventure card is another keep. It's the Vigo Bay. It says, this was the scene of the battle of the 22nd of October, 1702. Here, galleons laden for the Spanish government had sunk. Here, Captain Nemo came, according to his wants, to pack up those millions with which he burdened the Nautilus. This is a keep card. It says, when the Nautilus is in the North Atlantic or the European seas, you may fail and begin drawing treasures. 1 at a time. Stop drawing as soon as you draw a wonder or retain token. Keep all treasures drawn. At the game's end, if I have not spent this card for the treasures, it's going to be worth 6 victory points for me if I don't use it. So again, this is another one of those cards where I need to make a decision. Now, as an explorer, we know that draws from the bag are worth a heck of a lot more to us than adventure cards, because every single draw from the bag is going to be +1 to his victory point level as long as I keep drawing treasures. So do I want to push my luck? Well, that's something I need to decide, especially since I am currently at the European seas, and that might be a good thing for me to do. So that's something I need to do, decide, especially while the treasure bag is still extremely full with lots of things that have pretty good odds. Well, I should have pretty good odds, at least, of getting something very good when I draw out of the deck. So now that we're done with that, we now need to go to the placement phase. So 2 dice for the placement phase, and we will roll a 2 and a 2, a 2 and a 2, which means we now have a lull phase. Lull phases can be good, and they could be negative. Unfortunately, I don't have any actions, so that does mean that during this lull phase, I don't get to do too much. Lull phases are something you want a lot later when you're starting to roll a lot of black dice, but hey, that's not going to happen right now. So the first thing we are going to do for the lull phase is we are going to go ahead and add ships onto the track. So we'll get 1 ship down here in the Eastern Pacific, and then we will get 1 more ship down here in the Eastern Pacific. And the next thing we will do is we are going to get the chance to start adding treasures onto the board. So we already have a treasure here, so we'll look at one of the connected oceans and we'll put a treasure on one of them. I will pick, let's just go for here. And then we're going to get one more treasure, which is going to go on top of the adventure deck. Now that that is done, we have placed our ships, we have added our treasures. There's not much left we can do because we have no actions, and that's pretty much the end of the round. Now I could sacrifice one of my crew members who is going to give me actions, or if I had treasures that I can discard right now to get extra actions, I could do so. But since it's not going to happen, that's basically how a lull turn works. We're now going to move on to turn number 4 and our 4th adventure card. Public opinion. Traders, ship owners, captains of vessels, skippers, and master mariners from Europe and America, naval officers from every country, and at their heels, the various national governments on these 2 continents, were all extremely disturbed by the business. Play. Fail. Place this card in the fail pile and place 1 ship token in each major ocean using the usual placement procedure. For each revealed ship token so placed, also gain 1 notoriety. So I'm going to gain 1 point of notoriety. It's a good thing that I culled the board a little bit, especially since this card came up, because this one could have been pretty darn dangerous to me. So it's going to be every major ocean. So that's major ocean number 1. Major ocean number 2, I cannot place the normal way, so we're going to look over here at the normal placement rules track, and it's going to see that the second thing is we're going to place a hidden ship in any adjacent ocean, which means I can place it here or here. I'll go ahead and place it there, and that's going to be 1 point on the notoriety track, which means we're closer to getting these more powerful battleships onto the board. Now we're going to go for location number 3, and then major ocean number 4, major ocean number 5, and then finally major ocean number 6. So it did cost us 1 point of notoriety, and this is going to go into the fail pile. And, wait, for each revealed ship. I don't get notoriety. That's actually for revealed. So actually, we're okay. I'll take that notoriety point back because it's actually for revealed. We didn't reveal. We put a hidden ship token out there on the board. So we are actually A-okay. We'll fail that card, and now we get to see if we're getting a non-lull turn. I will roll a lull turn. It's almost like I called it. Not that I wanted to, but it's almost like I called it. So C number 4 is going to get 1 ship token, and then we're going to get another ship token, which will go right there, and then it will gain a gem. We're doing greens over here, trying to be consistent with the coloring here just so it's very, very easy on the camera. So we will get, I will get a green there, and then we'll put 1 blue up here, and that'll be it for our treasures. And then this is a lull turn. So again, if I want to sacrifice a crew member, I can get an action. I'm not going to sacrifice a crew member. It's way too early in the game, so let's go ahead and start round number 5. Jaws wide open, as in Jaws, the shark. The shark returned when I saw Captain Nemo rise suddenly, dagger in hand, ready to fight the monster. With wonderful quickness, he buried his dagger deep into its side. A terrible combat ensued. So this is a test that I must pass. The difficulty level is at 8 or higher, and the only resource I can press for this is going to be the Nemo resource. Now, if a card ever lists multiple resources, you're free to press all the resources you want, but on any other test, you're only allowed to press 1 resource, or if the card only says 1 resource, that's all you can press. So we are definitely going to press the Nemo resource, which is going to give us +2 to this roll, because we definitely want to pass. And hey, this is going to give us a bonus to our Nemo, which allows us to max him back out. So at this point, I'm getting +2. I simply need a 6 or higher to impale the shark with my knife. 6 or higher. Statistically, I have over a 50% chance of succeeding. Statistically. And we'll get a 5, and a 4 is a 9, +2 equals 11. So that's actually pretty darn good. So our resource is refreshed that we spent on this, and now we look at the pass result. It says pass, and we can put it in the pass pile, which will give us 2 victory points at the end of the game. But if we put it in the fail pile, we can gain 1 point on Nemo. Now, why would we want to do that? Well, if we look over here, we see that the eyeball is going to be worth 2 times the number down here for any wonder seen. So if I manage to get Nemo back up to this level, and if I win the game at that level, that's 14 victory points, because right now it's only worth 7 victory points. So again, those are the decisions you need to make as you play this game. I can put in the pass pile for 2 victory points, or I can risk putting in this pile and hope that I don't take any Nemo damage. That's 14 victory points at the end of the game if Nemo doesn't take too much damage. So again, it's a little bit of risk, but hey, let's push our odds and see how it works out for us. Now let's see what kind of non-lull turn. You hear me? Non-lull turn we're gonna have. Dice are like my kids, they don't listen. Okay, so we have a time where we are going to have to do another lull turn. So we add a treasure, or I mean a hidden ship token. We can add it, can't add it to the Indian Ocean. So it'll either go to this connected ocean or we'll put it up here at this connected ocean. I'll do it right there. Our second one will go at this connected ocean, and then we need to add another treasure onto the map. So can't put it there. We could put it there or we can put it here. I'm going to put it up here just because that seems like the smarter decision to do. And then we'll add that nice treasure token up there, which is meaning we're going to start working towards the ventures because that's 4 treasures for us. So if I ever get a non-lull turn, that's what I'm going to work on. So that's the end of turn 5. That's pretty much it. Turn 6. We're about to enter exit the prologue and enter the main first act. So, a frigate's demise. 2 enormous waterspouts crashed into the deck of the frigate, racing like a torrent from stem to stern, toppling crewmen, breaking spare masts and yardarms from their lashings. Play, which means I immediately have to play this card. Add the black background frigate to the Nautilus's current ocean and fight it immediately. This is a mandatory free stock attack action, which means it's not going to use any of my actions, which is good because I keep getting, lull turns anyways. So since this is going to be a stock attack and it's going to be in my current ocean, I get to add this frigate right here, which is the special ship right here, which deals with event 4 and event 4. I will add it to my current location, and guess what? I now have to fight this ship immediately. And then this card goes into the fail pile. Remember, F means fail, P means pass. We'll put it there, and now I must immediately fight the ship. Now the first thing that's going to happen is this ship is going to shoot at us. It has an attack value of 6. I have no special cards, which means I need to roll 6 or higher, or we're going to take some damage right before the fight even starts. I will roll a 3 and a 1, which means we have managed to take damage. Now when it comes to taking damage, if you look over here, this track right here is going to tell you exactly how this works. And the nice thing about wonderful design of Ian O'Toole, of how well he designed this board, is all the resources you need to play this game are on this board. You can look all over this board and find all the wonderful things you need. So we rolled a 3 and a 1, which is a 4, which is not enough to take out the ship. So we're seeing that we roll 2 dice, and it says the Nautilus is going to take hits equal to the lowest die value. Our lowest die value is a 1, which is very, very fortunate. So we're only going to take 1 point of damage. And now we need to see which part of our ship is going to, or which part of our resource pool is going to take the damage. 1, Nemo takes the damage. 2, 3, our crew is going to be damaged. 4, 5, and 6 is going to be damage directly to our hull. I will roll a 4, which means our hull is going to take 1 more point of damage. We're still fighting trim, but we may want to start looking into fixing that ship as quick as possible. But now we get to retaliate, and the nice thing about this is, don't forget, we're now at +1 because this is a sneak attack. All I need is an 8 or higher to take out this ship, and I'm definitely wanting to do so. We will get a 5 and a 4, that's 9, +1 is 10, and actually I could have pushed one of my resources on my crew to definitely do it, so I didn't even think about that, but doesn't matter, I managed to defeat the ship. So we got a 10, so the Glasgow is defeated. It does not have any notoriety for defeating it. Now I need to make a decision. Is this going to be tonnage, or am I going to put this towards getting salvage, which is going to allow me to get some of these wonderful, wonderful upgrades? I am thinking I'm going to go for getting one of the salvages because I am thinking that I want at least one of those. Actually, I want all of them, but the chances of me getting all of them aren't that great. So, yeah, we're going to go for salvage. We're going to put this over here in the salvage pile, which is going to be very, very nice for us. And now that our adventure is over, we now get to go over to our placement phase, and we're going to roll anything but doubles. Anything. Anything but doubles. Anything. Well, I definitely got anything but doubles. Wasn't that great? 2, 3. That's going to give us 1 action only. So in ocean number 2, we would get a ship here. We can't do that. We'll go over here. So we'll get a ship placed right there. Ocean number 3, which is right there, we will also get a hidden ship over here. Now you start seeing that this board is starting to fill up very, very quickly. Now remember, if we ever get to the point where we cannot place a ship on the board, we fail immediately due to an imperial failure of our ship. And it doesn't matter how well we've done with any of our resources, we cannot place a ship on the board. Yeah, we're not quite there yet, but if we ever get to that point, we instantly lose. So we need to start watching that, but we also need to watch the notoriety. So we have one action on this turn, one whole action. So I was hoping for 2 because I wanted to do an adventure. We didn't get 2. So what I am going to do is I am simply going to do another explore. I want treasures because I want to be able to start doing the repairs and the refits and all those wonderful things, and I cannot refit until I get 2 actions, which is going to allow me to spend the salvage. So I'm going to go searching for treasure. We are going to press our crew into this. I get a +3 to the roll. All I need to do is roll decently, and I get to do some treasure draws from the bag. So I rolled a 7, +3 means we succeed. That's going to be a 10. We look at the 10 result, we see that's going to allow us to get 1 treasure out of the bag. Please, something good, because I've not had a lot of good stuff yet. Okay, we managed to find a city, and this city is going to be 1i, which is going to be multiplied by 7, so that's 7 victory points. So we already have 14 victory points right here, and this is worth 1 since we're doing the explore, so that's actually pretty darn good too. That's our 1 action spent. That's going to be the end of the round. That's also going to be the end of the first prelude or the prologue. We now get to go to the first intermission, and we get to start Act 2, which means we're now going to start rolling 3 dice to fill up the board. Helps if I grab the right die though. Okay, Act 2. I was admiring the magnificent aspect of the ocean when Captain Nemo appeared. He did not seem to be aware of my presence, and began a series of astronomical observations. Then, when he had finished, he went and leant on the cage of the watchlight and gazed abstractly on the ocean. Add the dark yellow reinforcements to the ship draw pool and continue play with the next card. Roll 2 white dice and 1 black die to begin each placement phase. So we add these 4 ships into the bag. Shuffle it up really, really, really good. And then we will get our next adventure. The Treasure Fleet. Play instantly. Laden with their precious booty, the men returned to the Nautilus, disposed of their burden, and went back to this inexhaustible fishery of gold and silver. Fail, and place the sunken treasure token and a treasure available token in a random major ocean. 3. That actually works out good. So we will place this there, and then we will place this there in the random ocean. So that's the treasure token, and that's the random treasure. After you successfully search there, gain that ocean's treasure and the sunken treasure fleet, which grants you 2 additional silver uprising cubes, giving you 12 in total, and +2 DRM for future incite actions. This is really, really awesome. This is going to give us extra incite cubes that we can add to the board. Inciting is very powerful because it allows us to bring our notoriety down quite a bit. It's very, very important to start getting those as quickly as possible to avoid getting these more powerful ships, and of course also to avoid failing to our notoriety track going way, way too high. Now there's 2 things you do when you're learning how to play this game if you're still not quite familiar with the rules and you're still trying to learn the game. This card does tell you to put it in the fail pile, but if you want to, you can leave it off to the side just as a friendly reminder that you do get +2 DRM to every one of your incite actions. But they are very nice, and they do include 2 silver cubes as an additional reminder for you. So another way to remember this when you're still learning the game is just don't use the silver cubes until they're your very last cubes. That way you don't forget the +2 DRM. DRM stands for dice roll modifier to all your incite actions. So now that we've done that, the next thing we need to do is we need to start rolling our placement and figure out what's going to happen to us and see just how terrible the game is going to start treating us. So we'll roll our 3 dice, and hey, we're actually going to get 2 actions. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So the first thing we will do is, remember, our actions are based on our white dice, not our black die, so ignore the fact that those 2 dice match. So we see that we are going to get 2 actions, but we are going to get ships in the 4 ocean and in the 6 ocean. So the first thing we'll do is we'll start with the 4 ocean right here. Now remember, following the chart right here, first we do place hidden ships in the current ocean. If we can't do that, place hidden ships in any adjacent ocean. If we can't do that, we will reveal a hidden ship and we will place it in the ocean itself. So the nice thing about this is we actually get to see the ship itself before we place it out there on the ocean. So that is actually a very, very nice benefit. And we will draw and we will get, let's see here, we will get the Chance, which is a passenger vessel. Sinking this ship will give us 2 notoriety, so we want to avoid that. And I think we're going to place it over here in this ocean right here. I don't think we're going to go after that ship anytime soon. And we'll remove that. Now we need to take care of our next 4. So again, we will draw from the bag and see what will happen to us. Remember, we can start getting those yellow ships now, so we have to be very, very careful. And this is going to be another ship. It's going to be a male ship, and this one's also going to give us lots of notoriety if we manage to sink it, so we may not want to do that just yet. I'll place that ship right there, and then finally we'll get the 6, which is going to be placed right here. We can't place there, but we do have an adjacent ocean, so we will definitely take advantage of that adjacent ocean. So that is all 3 of our dice for the placement. We have 2 actions and we have a lot of decisions we want to make. So these are the things we need to think about at this point. First, we see that the ocean is starting to fill up with lots of ships, and we don't want that to happen, but we also got to worry about our notoriety. So we have a couple different things we can do. We can start inciting right now, which could actually be a really awesome thing to do, because that can start bringing down our notoriety and allow us to start sinking ships. That could be a bonus. We can continue going for treasures, and we see just how well drawing from the treasure bag has done a lot of great things for us. Or we can go on an adventure, which is going to give us 4 treasures, but the problem is with going on an adventure is it does cost us 2 actions. Again, if we ever forget these things, we can look right here and see what the adventures are. Now I know what I'd normally do, but I also know that I'm trying to show you as much gameplay variety as possible. So we're going to spend our 2 actions and we are actually going to go on an adventure. So what you do when you go on an adventure is you're going to draw the top card, and then you decide if you want to do this card. If you want to do this card, you're simply going to do whatever the card says, and you're going to get 1 treasure draw for every gem that happens to be on top of the treasure deck. Or the adventure deck over here. Or the adventure deck. If you don't want the card though, you can simply decide to place it on the bottom, and that means you don't get any of the treasures, and that does mean your 2 actions are completely wasted. So we're going to play this card because it's not absolutely terrible. Well, it's not good, but it's not absolutely terrible. It is a play card. It's called the Grecian Archipelago. Prudence bids us profit by the first opportunity to leave the Nautilus. The occasion must be serious, and our first attempt must succeed. If it fails, we shall never find another, and Captain Nemo will never forgive us. Play. +1 notoriety immediately. Oh joy. Make an unmodified warship attack, 8 dice roll versus the Nautilus, and suffer any damage that might occur. So I need to roll dice, and since I don't have the boosted hull, I need to roll really high. I need to roll an 8 or better. If I suffer 0 or 1 hit, I'm going to pass, and this can be worth victory points me in the game. If I suffer 2 or more hits, I'm going to fail, but at least for the rest of this turn, not that I have any more actions, so it doesn't matter, but for the rest of the turn, the rest, repair, refit actions only cost me 1 action to do. Fun. So let's hope I succeed on this one. That's what I really need to do, is I need to succeed on this one. So I need 8 or higher, and I get no bonuses, can't push my crew or anything because it's a warship attack. So let's hope for the best. And I got the best. I rolled an 11, which means I succeed. So this card is going to be completed. It's going to go in the pass file. It's worth 4 victory points at the end of the game, which is pretty darn nice. We'll put this in the pass pile. Nothing else is going to happen to us. That's not too bad at all. But now the bonus is we are going to get 4 draws from the treasure bag. So treasure draw number 1 is going to be 4 victory points because we're playing the explore motive. Draw number 2 is going to be a retain. We can discard this at any time we want to gain 1 crew, or if we keep it for the end of the game, it's worth 3 + 1 victory points. Put the retain ones down there so they're easy to differentiate. Draw number 3 will be another retain. We can discard this 1 time to re-roll. If we keep it to the end of the game, it's worth 5 victory points for us. And then our final draw from the treasure pile is going to be A bad thing. Hooray! Oh, no, no, this is a good one. Discard and draw 2 more treasure tokens. Yes! I actually got a good one. Haha, I almost was thinking. So we draw 2 more treasure tokens. I'll try them at the same time because it's more fun that way. And we will get 6 victory points. 5 plus 1 is nice. And then we will get, 2 plus 1 is going to be 3 victory points. That is it for this turn, and I'm going to go ahead and do one more turn for this specific video. Remember, this is going to be a short video. If you want to see the extended gameplay, check out the extended gameplay video. But let's go ahead and finish out this round and draw one more adventure card and see what's going to happen to the Nautilus and her crew. We're going to get a test. Captain Nemo's Thunderbolt. It's a test 8, and we impress Nemo and the hull. That's a good card. Now you can see how we impress 2 things for additional results. Okay. When the first islander laid hands on the companionway railing, he was flung backward by some invisible power. Lord knows what. He ran off, howling in terror and wildly prancing around. Pass. Gain notoriety and treasure. Fail. Gain notoriety and lose hull. I need an 8 or higher. So we are going to press the hull for a +1, and we're going to press Nemo for a +2, for a total of +3. So we're going to get +3 to our roll. We need to get an 8 or better. So basically, I just need to roll a 5 or higher on the dice. If I don't, we're going to take some damage to our resources, and we're going to take even more damage thanks to the card. So let's see what happens. We got a 6 and a 4. That is going to equal a 10. 10 plus 3 is going to be a 13. We most definitely succeeded in this card. So since it's a pass, we're going to gain that 1 point of notoriety, getting ever closer to those blue battleships entering the map. And we get to gain 1 treasure. This goes in the pass pile, which means it's going to be potentially worth victory points for us after the game, depending on our motive. But more importantly, we're going to get a treasure. We are going to get, the Abyss. That's 7 victory points for us right now. That's 21 victory points. Things are looking really, really good for us. So now let's go ahead and do our placement phase. And these dice are just not working too well for us. So we are going to gain only 1 action this turn. I know exactly what that action is going to be. And then in ocean number 2, we need to place something. Can't place here. We can place there though. That takes care of that die. Ocean number 5 is going to be up here. Hey, we're actually safe on that one. We will place it right there. And then finally, ocean number 6 is right here. So we're connected. Can't do, can't do, can't do, can't do over there. So we need to draw a ship from the bag and see what we will get. And we are going to get a warship. Now our decisions are really, really starting to matter here. I could put the warship here and fight it, but I don't want to do that because I actually know what I want to do this turn to show you one final action here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this one. Well, I know I need to go to the Indian Ocean for my keep card. Ooh, this is a tough call. I think I'm going to place this one over here in the Western Pacific. Hopefully it's not a terrible decision. Hopefully it doesn't come back and bite me in the end. So that is the placement. Now the only thing left to do is we have 1 action to do, and we are going to take the action of inciting. Now remember, when we incite, the nice thing about inciting is we get +2 to our dice roll modifier. We're going to have our crew help us with this inciting, which is going to give us +5 to the roll. Now the thing with inciting is you want to roll really, really high, because if you get a 12 or higher, you're going to drop your notoriety by 2. Anything else you roll is only going to drop your notoriety by 1, unless you get a really terrible result. So what you can also do is you can spend treasures, and you must decide to spend treasures before you roll. You can't spend them afterwards to help boost you on the difference. So we're going to discard this treasure right here. Now this treasure is worth 3 victory points, so I'm technically throwing away 3 victory points just to get +2 on my roll. So it's +2, +3 is +5, +2 more is +7 to my roll. So I just need to get a 5 or higher, and I'm going to manage to put out something on the, or put a cube out here in this ocean, and my notoriety is going to go down by 2. So I'm really, really hoping I get the result I need. That was close. I saw the 1, but then we got the 5. So 5 plus 1 is 6, plus 2 more is 7, plus 3 is 10, plus the treasure brings us up to 12. Now if we look over here on the site chart right here, we see that we create a revolt. So we will create a revolt. Oh, how about we do the Spanish Revolution, just because it sounds fun. And then our notoriety is going to go down by 2 from 7 down to 5. Now remember, all these things that we get to do, all these bonuses and penalties, we didn't have any -1 for any revealed ships because no ships revealed. We didn't have any penalties, so there's no uprising cube, so we got that very nice result. That puts us back at a 5 notoriety. We're not as notorious as we were afraid that we were starting to become. That is it for this turn. That is our 1 action spent, and now we go on to the next turn. We're going to go ahead and cut the video right here. Again, this is a shorter gameplay video. If you want to watch the extended video, check out that other video in this series. Now, if you have any comments or questions, make sure you leave them down in the YouTube comments down below. I'll be sure to answer them as quickly as I can. You can also feel free to email me at off-the-shelf-board-game-reviews. That's otsbgr@gmail.com. I'll be sure to answer your question or email as quickly as I can. If you enjoy this video, series, click that like button, click that subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching.